I was effective by constantly, or not if it was constantly, but by reminding them, why do we need to learn this? Because we want to be effective communicators. We want to make sense. I think it was one of the girls in the back. She's very knowledgeable or understanding of this. She wants to make sense. She's like, does that make sense? Am I being a clear communicator? And I think trying to constantly remind them of that. That's why we're doing this. We don't want to sound terrible in Spanish. We don't want to sound confusing. In other lessons, we've also talked about a big mistake that we could make. We could actually try to insult ourselves and make a joke that way, but if we didn't conjugate the verb correctly, we could end up insulting someone else. Definitely using the whiteboards, trying to do that instant feedback, having everyone participate. I think walking around the room is something I have to do because there's always going to be students that look like they're on task, but when I go up to them, it's like, okay, you're halfway there, let's get the rest of it finished. Or one of the young boys, he was completely off task, and if he knows that I'm checking up on him, then he'll definitely try and be engaged, and he's very bright and he gets it. Sometimes I think he just wants to know that he's noticed, and so walking around the room helps them continue. A huge part, if I didn't think about the materials and have it set up for them in the beginning, I think a lot of time is wasted. We only have 45-minute classes, so because of our bell schedule, I think that part of my effectiveness in teaching is because I really try to get the day ready at the beginning of the day. They have all their materials out. I did write out the lesson. I had the targeted infinitives prepared beforehand that I wanted them to know. And I'm not directly teaching them that mezclar means to mix. We're kind of just introducing it, and then in tomorrow's lesson you're going to see we're actually going to use that phrase, let's mix the salsa now, so vamos a mezclar la salsa, and they're going to learn, just instead of my directly telling them this is what this means, they're going to try to just very functionally internalize the vocabulary, and I think it's a much more natural way. And I'm also proud of the way that they've been able to, especially with the places. I've never taught them any of the vocabulary beforehand, but they really knew what they were saying or where the people were going to in their partner worksheets because they were using their cognates. And I tried to tell them, just be a critical thinker, use your common sense. This sounds like what in English. And with that, this is a very brave group of students also, that they're willing to make mistakes, willing to take risks. And I think that always is it'll set the language learner apart if they have that attitude of let's just try it and have fun and to be honest and yeah.
Cool.
I wish I would have. We actually have a song that we usually will sing in the middle of the lesson. It totally slipped my mind to play it. That's usually one of the tricks I'll use just to get them to stand up, sit back down. I think today was, it went really smoothly because they had their whiteboards, and we didn't have any blank time. There was always an activity or way for them to be on task. So that really helps them stay focused when they know what they're supposed to do. Even in the transition, using the cards, pulling those playing cards out and having to figure out who's the highest, who's the lowest, that keeps them focused on. I think that they want to have conversations. They really want to learn Spanish. Because it's an elective, it is their choice to be here out of the electives available at the school. So the students are personally engaged, and I think that being able to always make that choice, and I always try, even when I have to teach content, I always try to find ways to give students a choice so that they can take ownership, and if there's that shared power even between the teacher and the students, then things can go a lot more smoothly than if it's just, I said do this, do it now. So I think that the fact that they want to be here, that they made the choice, always sets the tone well. I always try to give encouragement. Sometimes it sounds like, I feel like sometimes it sounds like a grandma, like, oh, other kids can find this really difficult, but not you guys. And it's not something that I normally say only to this class. I say it to all my classes in different contexts. But it's just, for me, I know whenever my grandma would be like, I never had to do that, it would all of a sudden be like, oh, really? You think I'm doing such a good job? And so I tried to bring in that kind of encouragement. Something else our school has been really highlighting on, which I find very interesting, is the fact between telling kids, oh, you're so smart, versus, oh, you worked really hard. So I'm really trying to focus that when I do give praise, I'm praising them for a choice that they made, instead of just praising them for an innate quality. My mentor teacher used to tell me, don't praise a kid like good girl, good job. You give them encouragement, very specific. And so I'm trying to specifically say, oh, I noticed how you wrote that conjugation correctly, or I noticed that you chose this ending instead of this ending, and that's a correct choice, instead of just saying good job, good conjugation, because just the fact that they can make a choice, I think empowers them more than just other types of compliments. Literally for tomorrow, I'm going to take the vocabulary and the grammar structure, and we're going to apply it to cooking. So today we kind of stopped at using the word ir, to go, in explaining where is someone going. And then tomorrow we're going to take it to say our intent. So when we're making salsa tomorrow, we're going to say, okay, what are you going to do now? Now I am going to mix the salsa. So it's going to be the same subject pronoun, same infinitive, with some of the AR words that we introduced today. We're also going to change the seating arrangement. Instead of pods, we're going to make cooking groups, kind of all centered around the demonstration cooking table, so that everyone can see, I think always, the teacher modeling is always important. That is something when I can tell at the end of the day, I have to remind myself, I've done this twice, I need to do it again. I need to show them that this is how we cut a tomato. And always modeling it can always make a huge difference for the students. So doing that. And then in the future, this is actually leading up to our restaurant unit, where students are going to be able to order food proficiently from a menu in Spanish. So they'll have to learn a lot of these foods, understand these verbs and how to conjugate them to say what they want, and have a conversation at the table, even if there was a problem, how they could express their problem politely and then get the help that they need. So that is what this quarter is building up to. Kind of right now we're just at the sentences, and then in quarter 3 they'll be having their conversations.